Welcome to the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission for Thursday, April 17th. We'll start our opening meeting with our stream.
Today's meeting is being streamed live on the Township of Ramara YouTube channel. Be advised that by attending a public meeting of the Commission, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded and will form a part of the public record. The Chair, CAO, or Secretary have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming in exceptional circumstances where the content of the debate is considered inappropriate to be published. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in unacceptable behavior or comments.
Thank you. We'll start off into number 2, adoption of agenda and or agenda additions. Recommendations of the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission agenda dated April 17, 2025 and be adopted as presented. Somebody put on the floor. Commissioner Mason, second by Councillor Bell. Any discussion? All in favor? That's passed. Number 3, the adoption of minutes. Minutes meeting held on March 13, 2025. The recommendation that the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission minutes dated March 13, 2025 be adopted as presented. Somebody put on the floor. Commissioner Shoesmith, second by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? Any discussion?
Yeah.
Councillor Bell.
Thank you. So on item 8.1, 195.24, right now it reads, and that we forward to the solicitor that will be reviewing township staff resources and support to the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission. When we finished that meeting, the intent had been to forward the minutes, and then I know the ice storm came, so I understand why they didn't get circulated to us ahead of time, but that wasn't actually, that's not really the intent of that motion. What we were doing is we were engaging with the solicitor, but it was to identify the roles and responsibilities of the township versus those of the commission. So that's not quite the motion we carried.
Which motion, Councillor? That's right. So the way it's worded is, and that we forward to the solicitor that will be reviewing resources and support to the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission. No. That's correct. So they need to know what township staff and resources that we're supporting. So that information will be forwarded. So it's just the way you're reading it as opposed to the way I wrote it.
Did you have something else, Commissioner Mason? Okay. Any more discussion? I thought you were finished. No, okay, good. No, did you have something else? Oh, okay. Any more discussion on this? All in favor? Let's pass. Any disclosure canary interest? I don't see a problem saying that. No? Open forum regarding agenda items only. Do we have anything? Clerk? I guess we don't have anything. Nothing? Okay. Presentation, receiving petitions and deputations. There's nothing here. And accounts and budget 7.1, accounts voucher dated March 31st, 2025. Recommendation, the accounts vouchers dated March 31st, 2025 receives information. Somebody put on the floor. Commissioner Mason, second by Councillor Bell. Any discussion on that? Councillor Bell?
Thank you. It's just about the language. So it's not a pump house, it's a clean flow house. So it's just changing the language. We've been trying to make sure that we standardize it on all of our documents so that the descriptions of the buildings and the waterways and the systems are clear and consistent across all messaging. So here it still says Parkway pump, So we had talked about making sure that we standardize, and it is a clean flow house. So I would just ask that as we move forward, we just continue to update the documents so that they reflect what the language that we are using to describe each of the resources or functions of the commission, please.
The only thing I like the way it was laid out. I like the way you've put it where we can see the electrical. I think it's really easy to read and really quick to look at. I like that. I wrote down Georgian College on the bottom. What was that? I'm trying to remember why I did that. Does anybody know what that was? It's not important. Oh, there we go.
That's the that's the marine training for the staff this year.
Okay, that's the training. All right. I saw it there. I was trying to think what we're doing with Georgian College, but okay, perfect.
Yeah, we don't have all the invoicing in for that yet, but that's a portion of it right there. Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm glad you put that. That's great. Any more discussion? All in favor? That's
I'm
passed.
sorry, Chairman, did we have a mover and a seconder for that? I didn't
Yeah,
catch
I had Commissioner Mason, second by Councilor Bell.
Thank you.
Okay. 7.2, budget to actual report. Lagoon City Parks-wide budget actual March recommendation that the budget to actual report dated March 31st, 2025 be received information. Somebody put on the floor for me. Deputy Mayor, second by the councillor. Get here. Discussion. I got to read my writing here. Does anybody have a discussion while I'm looking at this? No? No, I liked it. It looked good. There was no problems I could see in there. There was something about marine, but I can't remember. Okay. All in favor? That's passed. Item of information, financial request follow-up. Recommendation report LC-03-05 be received as information. So we put on the floor. Commissioner Shoesmith, second by the Deputy Mayor. Discussion. Do you want to go first? No?
I think we have the same comment or concern, so I don't know, I can say
Go
it.
ahead, you go first.
Yeah, so I guess the concern is that we're still not being shown the financials, and I am not grasping where we're getting this notion that this is protected by MFIPA. And for the people listening, we're talking about Municipal Freedom of Information and Privacy Act. The levy is a user pay, user funded, and there's no reason why the levy calculation shouldn't be disclosed. It's a public-facing bylaw. The levy is calculated based on that bylaw. It has absolutely nothing to do with property values, length of shore wall, distance to lake, any of the other factors that sort of sometimes crop up. So this is not an MFIPA issue. The conversation last time, we had this conversation already. This is why we asked for the report. There was meant to be some sort of legal advice if that was where we were going to go. So I don't know where we're standing with this today, but if we're not going to release the information, then I believe that at this point, Parks and Waterways has already identified the solicitor that it will be using to move forward, or at least has the name of someone that we may be able to use moving forward. So I suppose we could leave it at this moment and then work with the solicitor, but there is no reason not to be releasing this information. It's a shared fund, and it's shared by the residents of the property owners of the people who are apportioned the levy. And so I can't understand. I mean, it's just leaving the taste in our mouth is what are we trying to hide from the people who pay the levy? There's just no reason for it to be protected. It's a public fund. So my concern is that we're still not having that information disclosed.
And I guess I'll add to that. It's tough to make a decision on how this is to deal with the marina, how to deal with it without that information. Like I need to see it basically before I can say yes or no, right? I kind of already know which direction I'm going to go, but if I don't see that, then I'm saying I'm going to make a decision on not enough information, and I've always swore I'd never do that. So just hold on now.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My recollection of the last meeting was that the commission was looking for certainly a breakdown from 2014 to 2025 in terms of the individual levy. So that's been provided. And of course, the discussion about the 10-year capital forecast, which is something that certainly the commission would be very much involved with to ensure that the work that you're hoping to get done would be done. And consequently, Minot has identified that specifically in terms of, moving forward. The commission certainly should turn your mind to that. The calculation for specific levy charges as identified from the staff perspective, we are not able to share specific property information. My advice to you, Mr. Chair, if the commission believes that you have the right to that information, that you seek legal advice on that. At this point in time, the staff do not believe that that is something that we can provide, but certainly welcome the opportunity to have a solicitor participate in that discussion to ensure that the municipality is protected as far as the confidential information.
And some of that information has already been released by the actual, I guess the marina has already told us some of it. We are just kind of confirming, is he correct? Is that the information we use?
And Mr. Chair, absolutely. If any individual property owner wishes to divulge their information, they are absolutely at liberty to do so. And your point about confirming, again, that confirmation from the township is problematic because it is specific to that property owner.
Okay. One last thing I had was, it was interesting to see the levy. I'm glad you put that there because you can see the increase. You can see what we purchased there. I'm glad to see that. This is the first time I've seen it, and I'm really glad that we have something like that to look at. Just hold on. Does anybody else have anything to say before you go next? No, Councilor Bell.
Thank you. So this, I guess we don't need a motion. This will be a discussion with our lawyer, but if the commission feels that we need to have a motion, that we will be specifically requesting that the lawyer ensures that all of the financial information is available to the publics, including the stakeholders. This is not just about the four or five of us sitting here. This is about the property owners in Lagoon City, and they have the right to the information. So if we want to carry that motion, that we're specifically going to be requesting that the lawyer seeks that information, or is that something that you just want to leave as a general conversation when we meet with the solicitor?
Well, to me, I would like to know exactly how many slips there are. I'd like to know all that, right? How many slips are there? Because I don't want to go count them all.
This isn't just about the slips, though. There's
No, but
two
it
different
is.
conversations. Yeah, the slips is one, and then the
There's
9
a whole bunch
properties.
of things,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys want to do that as a carried motion, or is it just generally among the items that will be seeking advice from the lawyer?
Okay, well, we'll put that on. That's not going to be the first on the agenda with that lawyer. He's got a lot of other things he's got to do first. Yeah, okay. If you want to.
I don't know. I don't know how you want. Are we going to collect motions of specific items, or is it just when we meet with the lawyer, we want to bring
Let's
a
just
number of
receive
items?
this information.
Okay,
Put it
and then
on.
we'll,
Yeah, put it for
okay.
something after. All right. Are you guys all right with that? Or? Yeah, you all right with that? Okay. Any more discussion on it? All in favor? That's passed. No, just watch. If I jump over it, let me know. Sometimes I get. Okay, next one's 8.2. Correspondence regarding Bertrand versus Township of Ramara. Recommendation that the correspondence regarding Bertrand versus Township of Ramara be received information. Somebody put on the floor for me, please. Commissioner Shoesmith, second by Commissioner Mason. Discussion. This is the first time I've actually officially seen this. I've seen it other places, but it's the first time I've officially seen it. Discussions. Going first.
Yeah, so my first comment is this is not a bill that is to be assigned to the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission. This is a Township of Ramara bylaw, and it was litigation against the Township of Ramara. It is not, so I mean, I see it, but we can receive it all day long, but certainly we shouldn't be paying it. So that's my first comment. And indeed, it was all the way back mid last year. I have the motion here, so as we carry on, I can bring it forward. But we did request on numerous occasions, not just this information. Yes, you're nodding, I know. Not just this particular information, but a number of other pieces of information related to this overall discussion that has arisen from Madam Justice Healy's decision, as well as bylaw 2001.50. And I mean, the first question is, was there even a bylaw? Because if there wasn't a properly formed commission, then there couldn't even have been a bylaw. So we're really in quite a quagmire. And so this bill at this point cannot be assigned to the Parks and Waterways Commission. We didn't build the bylaw, the Township of Ramara did. They ratified it, they confirmed it, and it is indeed a township bylaw. So my comment would be, sure, we can receive this document, but we're certainly not, in my opinion, receiving that we intend to pay it.
So where is it saying this is assigned to us?
That's my understanding, is that this bill is to be assigned to
Because
us
what's-
based on
Well,
conversation.
I guess the problem is with all of this, this has been discussed with council in great detail in closed session, and commissions had nothing to do with it. So we have no idea how we came to this. We've had no legal, nothing here. And when you say that, I'm assuming that must have been from this, whatever the session, but that there, 8.2 is actually in the closed session. So I'm not sure, like,
Well, I'm assuming they've put this here because they think we're going to pay it. I mean, maybe that's the first question we can ask the CAO is, do you think, does the CAO think we're going to pay this?
who's it say? Oh, so they're saying here that we have to pay this.
Can you use your mic, Commissioner?
Yeah, no, I was just saying that us being the respondents, this sort of bill is assigned to us as respondents, and that's how I'm reading it.
We're not the respondents. It's not our bylaw. It's a bylaw of the Township of
But
Ramara.
it seems to be addressed to us, though. And
So I
the
said, so I guess
implication
the
is
first
that
question is, we need to ask the CAO whether the intent is this is here because it's for the intent is that the Parks and Waterways Commission is to pay the bill.
Through you, Mr. Chair, and without having the privilege of a lot of experience in dealing with the commission, it was my understanding, Mr. Chair, that this litigation is specific to the Lagoon City area and the shore wall issue. The bylaw is passed by the municipality because the commission does not have that authority to pass the bylaw. And so the only alternative is to have the municipality pass the bylaw on behalf of the commission. And so consequently is my understanding that yes, the commission will be responsible for the legal costs. If that is not what the commission believes, then certainly the commission could pass a motion to then bring that forward to the township for consideration.
Because I guess my argument with that would be the fact that if we were involved in it, we would actually consider it, but we had no call. The council made all the decisions for us. And now we're finding out about all this afterwards. And in all those closed sessions in the last, I guess when it finally hit the fan, all the decisions were made by council, not by us. And I'm not sure as a commission, I agree with a lot of the decisions that were made. So if we were the people that were pushing this and running this, why weren't we in any of these meetings? Why weren't we part of it?
Through you, Mr. Chair, absolutely valid questions, without any doubt. So the commission was not involved at all in the crafting of the bylaw that was challenged. The commission had no say in that bylaw. Is that what you were saying?
What I'm saying is when the court case happened in the last 3 months, we were cut out at the end. So all decisions made, whether or not to appeal it, everything was made by council, not by us.
But through you, Mr. Chair, was the commission involved at all in the crafting of the bylaw?
We were
you
involved with that lawyer. Yes. The lawyer, he crafted it for us.
So you participated in the creation of that bylaw?
No, he crafted it for whoever was supposed to get it. We crafted it. We had to go get our own lawyer, but now the towns use that lawyer. So now we've had to go get another lawyer.
But just so I'm clear, was the commission involved in the
Yes.
creation, and did you participate in providing input and feedback into the creation of that bylaw?
I was counselor at the time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the commission was,
At
yeah.
the time, and it was.
It-
It was counselor. Yeah. I was a counselor at the time. So yeah, I was involved in it.
No, my question is the commission.
It depends on which
not
hat
the
you're talking
counselor.
about that I'm wearing, right?
Yes, yes.
Right.
So my question is, was the commission involved in the creation of the shore wall bylaw that was challenged recently?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes.
So as indicated earlier, the commission doesn't have the authority, from what I understand, to actually pass bylaws. The passing of bylaws becomes the responsibility of the municipality on behalf of the commission.
Mhm.
So certainly part of the discussion that you can have with your solicitor as you better understand sort of who does what. But certainly from the township's perspective at this stage, the issue is that this particular bylaw was challenged. There were legal costs that were associated with it. And consequently, as a result of that, the idea is that the commission would be responsible for those legal costs. The issue of the appeal, because it was a township bylaw, the appeal process had to go to the township first because that is the direction not the direction, but that is because it is an actual township bylaw. It came to council first, but it did come to the commission. The commission did write to mayor and members of council in terms of your perspective on the appeal. Council did take that into consideration and the appeal was dropped. Right. So now this stage of the process is we have the costs. And this is the first available agenda that is that we've had for the commission. So it now appears on your first available agenda. So in terms of the discussions that have occurred in closed session, because they at the township level, that's appropriate because it's a legal matter. But it has appeared and it does appear on the commission's agenda for you to participate in the discussion of where you want to go with this.
Okay. So right now then, what we'll have to do is, you've obviously got your legal opinions on that. We have no idea, right? We're brand new at this. So I'm not even gonna, I don't even need to talk about it anymore because I think we need to get more information, right? Because, yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I can, I think where the commission is heading is absolutely fantastic insofar that there appears to be some confusion as to who's responsible for what. So getting this work done by the solicitor on behalf of the commission will be very advantageous for both the commission and the township. So the sooner we can expedite that process, the better, just so that, again, we can all understand the roles and responsibilities, which will be very, very advantageous.
Okay, so we don't really, you can say something. I don't want to waste a lot of time.
Neither do I, but I do have something to say because I just want to point out that in the language that's being used, CAO has just made the statement, the commission cannot pass bylaws. And I just want to point out that you don't know that yet. So that, because that is part of that roles and responsibilities question. Right now, bylaw 2001.50 says that all powers were transferred to the Parks and Waterways Commission. And because we don't know what that means, we can't make the statement that the Parks and Waterways Commission can't pass bylaws. What's happened from 2001 to today is the township determined it was going to do that, but we don't know yet that the township ever could. We also don't know that the township ever could be in charge of our finances or collecting them or doing anything other than providing oversight, which is what seemingly should be happening. So I just want to point out that any language that we use as we go through this process, we can't make sort of sweeping statements, what the township can do versus what the commission can do, because we don't know that yet. That's yet to be determined.
And through you, Mr. Chair, if I may, absolutely. And as I prefaced any of my comments, there's obviously a lot of history with respect to the commission and the township and the relationship of. That's the reason for, I believe, the sooner we expedite this legal work, the better for both parties.
Okay. So that's it. Now we'll just move on from.
Yeah, it's just
I don't even know.
lawyer.
We take it as information if we don't agree with it, or.
I mean, we're not agreeing that we're paying the bill. We're just receiving the document, I think.
Same correspondent. Okay, we'll receive this information then. All right. Did you guys want to discussion?
My perspective is shares same as Sherry. I don't see how, if we can't pass the bylaw is the Ramara Township's bylaw. I don't see how, when that bylaw is the township's, how we have responsibility for any legal costs. So I support.
Yeah, we have to get a lawyer.
I really support Sherry's position. I do not see how this can be our legal responsibility.
Well, there's a lot of arguments, and I'm not going to waste my time doing it now because it makes no difference at all. We'll wait till we talk to the lawyers. Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you have anything or? And Deputy Mayor, you're kind of faded up there, so I keep looking up there. So if you want to get my attention, just shake your hand around a bit.
No problem, Cal. I think I'm just on board with everybody. I think we need a lawyer to weigh in on this. I think there's too many unanswered questions about who asked for this bylaw to be reviewed and redone. And there's so many questions out there. I think that the best thing is let a solicitor weigh in on this.
Yeah, okay. All in favor? That's passed. Oh, sorry, did you? Oh, you just get your glasses. I thought you had your hand up. My apologies. The next one is the aeration system expansion. The recommendation report LC 10-25 we received, and that we entered into a contract with Weeds Be Gone in the amount of $81,300 for the 2025 aeration expansion. So we put on the floor, Councillor Bell, second by Commissioner Mason. Discussion on it. I had discussion on it. Oh, you want me to go first? First of all, was this in our budget that you were asking? Is it?
I had to go back and double check. We had 100,000 in, so I couldn't remember. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess my problem with this is I don't really like the way it's laid out. I don't understand why we're not using the pipes. I know we talked about this before, and they were going to talk to me about it, right? About the location and everything, because the pump over at Turtle Lagoon, when we put that in, it's only at 50% capacity, and it's designed to be like for the pipes to run out of there. So we don't need another pump. We've got a pump right there running. And what my problem is when I look at the positioning that they have there, they're gonna get nailed by the sailboats. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no way we're gonna be able to put them there without having them dragged and ripped right out, because those keels are hitting the bottom all the time there.
So this was a, excuse me, sorry, pardon me, I'm got a voice issue today. So, so this is a report that Mr. Kavanaugh had brought back previous to the 2025 budget deliberations that had 4 expansion systems on it. This was expansion system 1, from what I can understand, was agreed upon to move forward with of the 4 expansion systems. So that was brought back by Mr. Kavanaugh in 2024, showing the 4 different locations and the potential expansions. So,
okay, it took me a minute. Mr. Kavanaugh's is Josh.
Josh,
right?
yeah,
Okay, I've
sorry.
never heard his last name.
Sorry.
But I thought we discussed, and maybe I'm wrong, that we were bringing it from the 2 pumps that were existing, so we didn't have to buy the pumps. We were looking at running a pipe up around towards the inn, and then because we could take it from the existing pump on Turtle, and then the other pump further down, we were going to take the pipes from there. And
So
it would have been about half the price.
those are the next steps moving forward in the aeration expansion system. So utilizing those other facilities will allow more expansion into Gondola Lagoon and stuff west and down through the entranceway.
What we're going to do is block off that one pump, because there's already clean flow system. We need to run pipes that way towards the sailboat. If we don't do that, we're not going to be able to use them. If you're going to put another pump there, we're not going to be able to use them. What that pump that you're putting in there, what that should be doing is running down the other end. It's like it's mixed up the way you've got it.
So this expansion, step 1 expansion, is working out of the new shed,
Right.
by the Poplar Crescent Laguna Parkway intersection, just to the north of the Muse,
Right.
right? And working that corner down towards the marina,
Mhm.
right? The next 2, and pardon me, I don't have them in front of me, but the next 2 expansions were working across Gondola Lagoon towards the North Footbridge, and then out towards the main entrance into the channel.
And so you're using that pump house for that.
Those other pump houses, it will be evaluated at the time to know whether there's expansion room there or not. I can't answer, Chair, if there's room on those pumps that are there and existing. I can't answer that at this point in time. I haven't assessed them
They're
myself.
only 50% capacity, both those pumps.
Okay.
So one pump that you have at the one end, because you've got 2 of them sitting, within 200, 300 feet of each other. One heading up there, one heading up there in Turtle. They're both designed to come out. And the one on the one end was designed to head to the, over towards the clubhouse, over to the yacht.
And I believe that section of Gondola Lagoon will run out of that shed you're talking about on Turtle.
But that section you're talking about needs one But it's already got two in there. It needs one in there only. That's designed to take about 8 or 9 more clean flow systems. Or I'll call them bubblers and get in trouble, but diffusers.
So I'm
So
not
I think
under,
I got to go over this, like sit down with you probably on a map and look at it again. Or can we bring a map up here?
But
I
Cal,
don't have
but this is just a different expansion. Like this was the report that came back last year. And then the discussion had been, we do that area first, then we go back over to those other ones. So that's why, but I think like the thing that we were waiting for here, I think more importantly was what you said, which is the keels. We were worried about the keels over here.
right. So I believe Josh had that discussion with everybody that there was going to be an offset for the keel situation with the sailboats there. So if you see the map that's there, there's an offset.
I think the one that's worrisome is the one kind of right in the center, I guess, if you will, right? Because the other ones, they could be offset like that, but that one.
Right. So we can move that location of that diffuser that's there. These were just aerial shots that we had put on there for the locations. We can extend that out further into the mouth there to give some more room for the sailboats to navigate that corner. Absolutely, Cal. That's very possible to do for sure.
So you're going to do the takeoff from that shed
Yep.
across from the Muse.
Yep.
And not add a pump.
We're adding a pump into that shed.
So you're adding a pump.
That's correct.
So here's my problem with it. If we're looking at the picture now, right? And if you look to your left, right? Whatever that's not gondola. I guess that is gondola to my
Yep.
left, right? There's an actual diffuser just on the other side of that map that's coming out of the other machine, pump house. So that pump house had always been designed to come into that area. That's what it had been designed for. That pump house on the end there was designed, from what I can remember, to take the pipes and cut around and go down Canoe. That's the way I had saw it. So if you're putting an extra pump in there, we can actually, if we're tight on dollars this year, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about that shortly, we should scrap the idea of a pump, go over to the other end where we've already got a pump and run our pipes off of there. Because you are not going to use that pump on that end to go towards the end. It's too far down. You're going to use the other one. It's got eight lines that can run out, and we'll be able to meet up with the one at Paradise. Councilor Bell.
I think when we were, sorry, I think when we were talking about this last year, the thing was though that we wanted to focus on this area specifically around the community center because of all the sediment that comes racing in from, Brecken and beyond into.
Sure, you're going to do that with the
lagoons.
pump I'm talking about.
So
That pump
you're
will run.
thinking that first clean flow house down
I'm
there there's enough capacity to get up
Absolutely.
and around,
Absolutely.
and right up to Laguna Parkway,
Yeah,
basically.
that pump is turned down to half capacity. It hasn't even up to full blast. It's never been up to full blast. When it was put in, it was designed that way, and we did that on purpose. And I won't tell you why we did it on purpose, but we did it on purpose.
So Cal, do you think that we should maybe just like defer this to, or not defer, but ask Chris to maybe go back to Weeds Be Gone and like
I would
bring
like
this
to go
discussion
back to
by?
Wade's Be Gone and ask them to use the other pump, not that pump house, because that pump house, you're going to need to go down to the.
I think if the report that was brought forward by Josh in 2025, I think all of that stuff was looked at. Or in 2024, I believe all that stuff was looked at. Those pumps are utilizing in the next step expansion system, I believe, in the aeration. This
I'd have to see that then.
this was accepted by the commission at the time that he brought the plan forward, and this was step one of the accepted plan by the commission at the time.
Well, I know I've never agreed with whatever it was. I don't agree with this. I've never agreed with this because I know how it's supposed to lay out, and I don't even like the way the diffusers are laid out. I think we're asking for trouble there, but we'll see.
So you certainly have the ability to vote this motion down, and
Yeah.
we can revisit
I would
accordingly.
like
if
to
you want.
actually
So-
revisit the next one, the next meeting. I'd like to get more maps, more information there, and I'd like to see the second, third expansion is to make sure that we're doing it properly. Because I don't think running all those pipes from that far away to run it all the way up to the inn is the right thing to do.
But this isn't going to the end though. This is going out to the main channel.
I know.
Okay.
See,
Because I remember this, but-
See,
Like we,
That lagoon that you're looking at runs up and around and up to the hotel, okay? And in that whole area, you've got two pumps sitting there. You got one pump here and one pump here. That pump was always designed to go around and then cut in down towards your place to get into those bays. That was what we were running around to get into the bays. Not so much to get into the middle of that big lagoon, because it doesn't matter. We don't need a pump in there, but we need them in the little bays there. This one here was to run down and to get into these areas. And the other problem that I have with this too, that I haven't heard yet, we've got one diffuser in there in between the townhouses. We'd run a test with a small diffuser in the front of your place. And I've been curious on how that's worked or what's been going on in there, because running it in there, I think that's the townhouse's property that we're going on now, right? Like that's part, like across where you've got those diffusers, that's owned. I think that part of the lagoon is owned by the townhouses.
Okay.
So I'm not sure whether or not what we want to put in there, how we want to put in there, and what the sizes of those diffusers are even. I'm assuming these are all that he's quoted are the big diffusers, not small.
12 inch.
Yeah, so I don't think you need 12 inches in there. That way, then when you get a little more expansion there.
Cal, do you think maybe, because we did agree to this, and I do remember some of those questions, you raised those then too. So here's what I'm wondering though. Do you think maybe, and I know it's a busy time for Weeds Be Gone, I know, but I like, do you think maybe it would be beneficial at this point? Because we do sometimes have the opportunity in the spring to see Nick when he comes in to do the spring treatments. Like, do you think it would be possible maybe to coordinate that?
If I may, I've had conversations with Nick and they are at the 11th hour for ordering the parts to be able to get in this year to have this system installed. If we wait another month to bring this back, we are not going to get parts this year to make an expansion to the aeration system in 2025.
Well,
Nick has phoned 3 times since the quotation because he is at the 11th hour for parts ordering for this. So.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I've noticed that the deputy mayor is trying to jump into
I'm
the
sorry.
discussion.
I'm really sorry. If you wouldn't mind letting me know that, like it's, yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
We're going to let the deputy mayor speak for a minute.
Yeah, Cal, I think we're having the discussions that we don't have the right people in the room to have it with. I think we need to have either a discussion with Weeds Be Gone. If we have to call an emergency meeting so that we get the parts ordered on time, we may have to do that. But I think it's either has to be referred back to staff to answer the questions you have and clarify to make the changes to get the parts ordered, or defer it until we have another time to chance to talk to Weeds Be Gone and have an emergency meeting next week.
So if I may, through the chair, this system was in consultation with Weeds Be Gone prior to Josh's report coming forward in 2024. This was reviewed by Weeds Be Gone and Josh during that report time. And this was their suggestion as well, was this was from Weeds Be Gone, and this was the way the expansion should look.
Through the chair, if I can, just to follow up then, Chris, I mean, to the chair's point, if he feels that we should be able to run this out of the other pump house to save a bit of money, is that not an option? Maybe if there's just a few questions, we could get them clarified before making that decision.
So the other pump houses, or sorry, clean flow sheds, are being utilized in the next step of the expansion moving forward. This was step 1 of 4. So step 2 was utilizing those other pumps in those other clean flow sheds moving forward. And step 4 was utilizing and a new shed being installed at Pike Lagoon to feed out towards the inn and the main entrance into Lagoon City, and potentially back towards the marina at that point in time. So there was the 4th step that was utilizing some the space that we have at Pike Lagoon.
Because I don't remember seeing any of that.
Cal, I wonder, I mean, because I think we did approve this, and I remember this whole conversation, and I even remember you asking some of these questions.
Okay.
So I know it's hard to remember though, because we've had so much, but here's what I'm thinking. I wonder if, because we've already passed it and because we're at the point of needing for Chris to be able to need to order the parts, if we would approve it, but at the same time, can we just ask that you forward us back the documents from last year? So that, and then maybe just you could review it. And if you still have any questions or concerns, maybe just reach out and have a conversation with Nick, but at least we can move forward on the ordering so that we don't miss out this year on getting this, because this section is particularly important. We know that. So. Well,
I agree it's important, but it should be done right. That's the way I look at it. And it has to be delayed for a few. I'd like to actually see all that information again, because I don't know. Everything I see about this is wrong, right? And I've looked at how we've run the rest, how we've run the pipes. We could actually run this even further by dumping these, the larger diffusers and putting in the smaller ones. You could probably run it out almost right out to the marina. So why not go for it? But part of your problem is right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got 7 diffusers that are going to get hit by keels. That's what I can see right there now.
So maybe if I may, make a suggestion, maybe our next meeting in May, we bring the previous report back that Mr. Kavanagh had brought forward. We have Weeds Be Gone here and present, and maybe we look at a fall or a December install for this system, which might buy us a little bit of time to have some more discussion around this. We can bring the old report back. We can have Weeds Be Gone present, and then maybe we could, I'm not making any guarantees, but maybe we can have a late fall install like we did with the other system in Gondola Lagoon that year that we did it in early December install.
Okay, and yeah, because there's a lot of questions to be asked.
And actually, I would say that at the time that we did the last install, it was recommended to us by Weeds Be Gone and by Josh at that time that we don't install after growth starts, because remember that some of those diffusers, they didn't sync properly. And so we had ended up making the decision that it would either be very early spring or late fall anyway, to ensure that we didn't run into that. So I don't think we're putting ourselves in any danger if it's possible to do it in the fall.
And I look at all, like the last time when we ran the diffusers out of Beaver Trail. And what they did was they ran the pipes along the shore wall, and we thought that would be great. And we ended up having them pulled up. They were hanging all over the place. They got cut left, right, and center. And if that's what we're doing here, we're looking for major trouble, because now we got a keel involved in this whole thing. So this has really got to be thought through properly. Like, and this is not really thought through. Like, and I'm not saying anything wrong with what you've done. Like, I'm just saying it's exactly what my biggest fears are when I look at this.
So if I may, through the chair, I'm going to suggest that we suspend this motion and move it to May and look at a late fall, early winter install
100%.
of this system. And we'll bring the next report or the previous report back to the commission, and we'll have Weeds Be Gone here as well to have those discussions as to the background as to why this 4 steps were made in the expansion of the aeration system.
Okay, if we can bring that up again, take a look. Okay.
And I was just going to say, so that we don't have to repeal the fact that we already approved, can we just say we're deferring, and then we don't have to like repeal our whole decision? Okay, thank you.
So what we have to do is we have to change the motion. It says.
Commissioner, what we can do is just defer the report to the May meeting, and we'll arrange to have Weeds Be Gone here, and we'll discuss the whole process then.
Okay, and who put it forward and who?
Councillor Bell and Commissioner Mason.
Are you guys all right with that? Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor? That's passed. Okay, next one is the beautification list. That report LCO 425 be received, and that no wake buoys be added to the.
Chris is already laughing because it says bubbler, and he knows I'm going to say, can you change it to clean flow? So he was already smiling. It's just funny.
And that the staff be authorized to purchase, install the buoys using the 2025 approved beautification budget. So we put on the floor, Commissioner Shoesmith, second by the Deputy Mayor. Discussion. You know what my comment on is, it all looks good, but a lot of that's not beautification, it's repair, right? When I'm reading it, right? You're repairing a lot of this stuff, right?
Fair enough. There's no budget this year for repair of the no wake signs. So through the beautification budget, it would aesthetically be pleasing in the waterways to change out those no wake signs, get away from rubber tires floating in the lagoons, and have an actual buoy that is located throughout other waterways that says no wake.
Any more discussion on that? I just want renovation and that. There was yeah. Okay, it's good. It's all good. All in favor? That's passed. 8.5, the maintenance contracts, report LCO 925 be received, and that the LCP WC enter into a 1-year maintenance contract with Little Contracting in the amount of $29,300 for the 2025 season. But on the floor, Commissioner Mason, second by Councillor Bell. Discussion on it. It's pretty straightforward. Nothing. All in favor? Passed. 8.6, grass cutting contract. Recommendation is that the commission receive report LCO 625 and that the commission enter into a 1-year contract with Telford Property Management for grass cutting in the amount of $640 per cut. Put on the floor, Commissioner Mason or Commissioner Shoesmith, second by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion on that? Councillor Bell.
Thank you. I have not been over to the South Footbridge, so I don't know what I'm asking yet, if it's valid. But I know that last year, as the fences were put in and the pathways, the asphalting was done, and between on the South Island Trail side, the south side, I don't think that the grass or the seed or whatever was put there ever properly took. And then we ran into those parts of the pathway not being able to be cared for properly. So I don't know where we are right now. I don't know by the end of the year, did you have grass? Was there seed and sod? And then I guess I'm just saying it needed attention all last year. So I just want to put it out there as a marker to check on it and see where we are, because we may need seed is the thing. And I guess if we put it in early enough.
Chris?
So the South Footbridge, we had put gravel off the edge of the asphalt to eliminate the trip hazard that was there. And then there is sections of grass between that gravel and the fence. Those footbridges will require trimming on a regular basis, not so much grass cutting moving forward after the fences were installed. And that's on both sides. So there's gravel sections there to eliminate trip hazards. And then there is still small sections of grass there as well that'll require hand trimming.
So I think that was the thing, is then I didn't know in the end if it was ever supposed to be grass or if it was supposed to, and they weren't weed eating or whatever was not happening. And so I guess I just want to just make a comment then, if we can just kind of mark that for them in the contract, just to know that area is in need of attention.
The contract this year spelled out that there was hand trimming required at these locations.
Okay. All in favor? 8.7, tree planting at the North Beach. Recommendation of report LCOA 25 received information. On the floor, Deputy Mayor, second by the councillor. I think it looks great, actually. I think it's a great idea. Mr. Shoesmith?
Well, I'm just wondering about the number of trees, 165. Did we get any input from people down that end? And who's going to maintain them? Who's going to prune them? Does the landscaping company, the grass cutters, are they prepared to trim around those trees and spend extra time? It seems like an awful lot of planting going on and nobody looking after it.
The tree planting plan and everything was, and the tree locations and the tree species that were chosen were all done through the LSRCA. They did put this whole plan together and everything else. Moving forward, yes, we're going to have to identify those areas to be trimmed around and so on and so forth.
Because there is no program in effect right now. And there never has been.
Sorry,
nobody's been pruning those trees. I know who's been pruning the trees. Me. Because nobody does.
Fair enough. Then
so
in
that's 165 more trees. Who's going to look at? I've been doing it, yeah, because I checked here at the municipality and there was no program in place. So I just took it upon myself some time ago, years ago. And I've just been going out and clearing any loose branches or low-hanging branches. I routinely have to stop the lawn care guys and ask them to please trim around, whip around the tree stumps to clear the areas, because they don't like to do that. It takes a lot of time.
We'll go with Chris, then we'll go with Councilor.
If I may, that's the first I've heard that they've not been trimming properly in there. Sorry, there's not been a problem brought forth to me to manage that contract appropriately. If there's issues and I need to manage that contract, then I need to be aware of them. The fact that the trees are going to go there, we can add that potentially with the commission's wishes in the 2026 maintenance contract of the beaches.
What is the timeline right now? Is this all proposed for this year alone?
So if you look in the report, it says there is no timeline set yet.
Right.
We don't have those provided to us yet.
So what's in place for now, like this year? What, is there anything
In regards to trees?
Yeah.
So we don't have the timeline on these trees. The current trees that are there,
Right.
when pruning is required, there was tree maintenance in previous budgets under the LCPW budgets. I don't have the budget in front of me, so I can't confirm that
I've
there
never
is this
seen
year.
anybody out there ever. In fact, the only person I see is myself and a neighbor.
We can put motions forward to do that now in
Yeah.
the future. Okay, if there's. an
I'm just
issue,
really
you can bring
concerned
it
about
up.
that
Yeah.
number of trees and how well they're going to be taken care of.
Once we get them in, you can
Yeah.
probably put the motions forward and we can prove it.
I suspect that the LSRCA has that many trees because there is going to be probably some mortality rate that's going to come along with that many trees being planted.
Councillor Bell.
Thank you. So I just want to kind of repoint the discussion a little bit because to say that there is no program isn't right. There always has been. That's always been a responsibility under the Parks and Waterways Commission. So, and Chris obviously wasn't managing these contracts ahead of time. So I just want to say, like, it's not that Chris didn't do this or whatever. So I just want to, and by the way, I'm not wearing sunglasses to hide. I said this on Monday. It's the lights above me. I had eye surgery. So just for anybody watching. So I guess I just want to go backwards in time just a little bit. And I just want to say that I know tree discussions had come before I came on the commission. And in 2021, the first year I volunteered, I did bring a lot of discussion on tree trimming, on our pathways, on our beaches. And we have been doing some maintenance over the years. And I understand that you've been going out and doing some of your own, but I think that brings us to kind of an ongoing discussion, which is if people are not using the reported concern system to say trees aren't being trimmed, then Chris can't know that, or Josh before him, right? So instead of going out and trimming them, you probably should have told the commission that they weren't being trimmed if they weren't. And I'm not saying, I'm not having an argument. I just want to say, like, to kind of just frame the whole conversation, just in general, if there's a limb or whatever that needs cut, Chris won't know if nobody uses the processes to tell him, right? So I want to say that. Then I also want to say there is still the outstanding conversation around trees. This is only one piece of it. So tree planting, this is a program that way back through council when I first was at conservation got started, and it finally came to fruition, and Josh worked on that for quite some time to bring it. So this is just one conversation. This, I think, is not about the maintenance moving forward. This is just receiving what the LSRCA's intent is and their recommendation for tree planting. But then if I understand what you're saying, but just maintenance will be a separate conversation. This motion is just
We
about.
can put that all in later,
Yeah,
right?
like,
Yeah. So
This motion is just accepting that
Yeah.
this is the tree planting plan.
So it's a great thing. Like, to me, this is a great thing. And really, all we got to do is make sure it's done properly. And you're asking the timeline. It'll probably be the fall of the spring. And let's move on, because this is great. Because once we do this.
No, I was just wondering if we had any input from residents in the area. Did that never come up?
In what way?
Well, in terms of, whether this sounds like a good idea to put that many trees back there, because, kids do play Frisbee and people run around and.
Yeah, but you're going to lose about
turns into a forest.
25% of them when this all happens. Right?
Okay.
So I don't know. This is done by the Conservation Authority.
Right.
I would think they know what they're doing. And hopefully,
Well, I'm sure they know
it's
what
always
they're
nice to
doing
have a lot of trees there.
in
to
that
break up.
respect.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
And
sure.
it looks like we've lost a lot of trees there compared to what there were 10 years ago. So
Yeah, there has been.
I think it's a
lot-
great idea.
lot gone.
And I think the maintenance, and it would be under discussion when they're put in,
Mm-hmm.
how they're going to get watered, because they need to be watered for the first year, and how to protect them from the snowmobiles and so on and so forth. But that'll be something later, right?
Mhm.
And it's not, we'll deal with that then. Okay.
And just the only other comment or that I would make is, and we did talk about this a little bit, and I know we don't have timelines yet, but I'm sure that the community will want to participate or could participate in the tree planting. So when it comes time to look for volunteers for tree planting, we can probably as a commission pull that together. So I know you don't have the timelines yet, but when you do, or the sooner you do, then the sooner we can help. Residents, I'm sure, will want to be involved in it. I think so. They are pretty emotional about that beach, so I'm quite sure they'll want to be involved. So I don't know what LSRCA's plan is. I know, generally speaking, they look for volunteers in communities, whether that's local businesses or whatever. So I think I would just say the sooner, as soon as you know the date, if you can tell us, then we can help with that.
Okay.
Is the plot layout sort of written in stone? Like I saw the proposed areas where they're going to be planted. I mean, is that how it's going to be, or is that kind of open?
That's how it's going to be through the LSRCA. They
Okay.
reviewed the property and that's their determination.
All right.
Okay. All in favor? Passed. 8.8, weed disposal site contract recommendation. The commission received report LCO 525 and the LCPWC entered a 1-year contract with AAA sanitation for weed disposal in the amount of $928.21 per load for the 2025 harvesting season. Put on the floor for me, the Commissioner Mason, second by the Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? I was going to say straightforward, but I saw your hand.
I do. I'm trying to look for the motion. I have all the motions that we carried last year that are just sort of outstanding, and this conversation is related. So we have had for quite some time now ongoing discussions about the disposal of these plants. And I know when it came up again last year, Josh had said it was relatively recently that we had the composition of the plants tested. But I guess where I'm at right now is I'm not probably ready to let that conversation go quite yet. And the reason why is because a private contractor can pull up as many plants as he likes and do whatever he wants with them, right? So we're still sitting with two sets of rules, one for the municipality and one for any dude that comes in with a piece of harvesting equipment. And I would like to see us doing whatever advocacy is necessary to make that change, because I can't understand how it can be that fellow last year who had advertised in the community that he would come and clean out in front of my shore wall, for example, he could throw them up on the shore wall. I can throw them up on my shore wall if I go pull them out. But when we go in as a municipality, we have to pay this exorbitant cost to deal with these. So, I mean, I understand that we have to, at this point, probably accept the contract, but I would like to have an and that in that motion that says, and that we continue to advocate for different solutions, whether that means working with the ministry or the LSRCA or whatever it is we have to do. I still don't think, and again, and as Cal, you pointed out, in Aurelia, they're just taking them out and pitching them up on the shoreline. So I don't know how it came to be that we got stuck in this position. But I have, since I've been on the commission, never been able to see any documentation to support that this is the case. So I want that and that, I think.
Okay, so I've discussed, I see the Deputy Mayor finally spotted him.
Right. That's a good question by Councillor Bell. I know that I've had discussions with Josh about this before. So this falls under organic matter. So you have to have a proper ECA on the property, which this company actually does have a proper ECA for organic matter. Even landfilling would be quite a bit more, and it's going to landfill. So this is a good green alternative, and the rate is actually really reasonable compared to alternatives to get rid of this with proper ECA.
So what we're going to do is look into this in the future, because I know what Councillor Bell was talking about. I brought that up to the CEO, I think it was six times ago, that CEO, the very first one. And she explained to me that if the town can't go to a private contractor because they're still responsible for it, even giving it to the private contractor. So it would have to be somebody else that does it, not the town. They can't give it to the private contractor. They have to be concerned of where it ends up. Because I already came up with that idea about 8 years ago, and that's what I was told.
I know. I realize, Cal. I guess what I'm saying, though, is if we stop harvesting and you and I and all of our neighbors just go ahead and harvest our own, we're going to take them out and we're going to put them on our lawn and compost them, and we don't pay any money. So where we're sitting right now is because we have a municipal program in place, they got to take them out, and then we've got to pay all these thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands at this point.
Right. We agree all with that. We agree with that.
So what I'm saying is, and I hear what the deputy mayor is saying, the company has whatever it needs. That's not my concern. My concern is the advocacy piece. I want us to be going and finding out why we have to do that when nobody else does, and how do we make it change? So my and that is, where's the advocacy to solve this problem? Not which company could do it instead or whatever. I would like to see the advocacy piece moving forward, and however that needs to happen, whether it's me working with you or whatever we do. But I'm saying the and that is, let's find a solution so that we're not paying to move these.
We agree with you. That's not a problem. And I'll follow up too with the Aurelia. They take it to their dump site, to their recycling area. That's where they take it from. And they don't have the volume. So anyways, all in favor? It's passed. 8.9, the quotation for the footbridge lighting. Recommended to report LCO 725 received and that the quotation amount be on the list for consideration during the 2026 budget deliberation. On the floor, please, Commissioner Shoesmith, second by the Deputy Mayor. Discussion. Everybody okay with that? All in favor? Passed.
Hang on, sorry, hang on. I didn't see that it was 26. I thought we were doing it. So let me just back that up. No, I'm not in favor. And I do want discussion because we've been waiting to put these in for a long time. So I would like to see them ordered and put in place now. I just misread that. Yeah, this is being pushed to the 26 budget. We have.
I'm all right with that. I'm not too sure if I want to do it.
We have been waiting since I came on the commission again in 2021 was the first time I raised lighting on the footbridges. The North Footbridge is frightening and impassable for our residents, and they brought that to us on more than one occasion. So that's where it started. And then most recently it was brought by residents at the South Footbridge who are having the light shine into their homes. And so this was sort of the second go at talking about footbridge lighting. And then this particular case, this resident has been waiting for a response from us since last year, last midsummer or whenever the South Footbridge was finished, actually. So I don't think that pushing it to the 26 budget is going to satisfy the community's concerns for lighting on the bridges. I would say we budgeted 100,000 for clean flow and we're only looking at 85. So we've got 15 back right there. But also we had initially put 92.5 in for the 8-ton excavator, and then we returned that back to reserves. So I don't think it's a question of do we have room to make the purchase. I think we have money there and available. And I think, we're at 25 now. So we've been, looking at 4 years of waiting to find a good lighting solution for these bridges. So in my opinion, I would like to put forward the motion that we implement this as soon as Chris is able to order it and have it executed.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I may, just to the point that Chris has identified in the report, it is not part of your 2025 approved budget. Your 2025 approved budget then helps set your levy, et cetera, et cetera. So to Councillor Bell's point in terms of taking from sort of other projects, we may want to check with our treasurer to make sure that in fact that there's no issue in terms of overspending. I will note too that the report at a high level gives you a price, but what's not included in that price is HST and any inspection fees, perhaps even locates, geotechnical, those kinds of things that are required to complete the project. So I think in fairness to the commission, you just need to fully understand what the actual cost will be and where that funding should come from. You could, if it is the desire of the commission to push this project forward, with that mindset, you could defer this to your next meeting, and what we would then provide is the full cost and the budget implications and how you can actually fund this in 2025, if it is the commission's desire to push this forward.
And also too, could we get more information on this?
The wish of the commission, upon a motion, we can extend this further. When I met with the contractors on site, it was for lighting over the bridges themselves. They also identified that they did not look at or review anything that's in the grounds or on the poles or on the supply. So if upon review of that through ESA, there could be additional charges that come along with that program. The next time that they come out to do this, it'll be a more fulsome expansion, and there will be a charge for them to come and back and have a look at all of this. Just be aware there will be some upfront costing if we're looking for a more wholesome discussion now on what this looks like big picture.
So with this extra, it could double in price possible?
Absolutely. If ESA identifies that some of the wiring that's there at this point is substandard, we will have to run new lighting cables from the hydro poles in.
And you know what type of lighting they're talking about here, Councillor?
Yeah, because this has been to get the proper downlighting, and it won't shine into the windows and it won't shine into the sky, and it will light the bridges for safety and all those things. And I understand that the cost would be more, but I also know that we did have the 92.5 that we returned back to reserve. So we do have some space that we can make that
Which we can
reserve
find.
request.
That's no
Yeah.
problem.
But I think we need to move forward with it. I know that, I just had this conversation in the last couple of weeks with a resident who didn't want to cross the North Footbridge. Although now that so many trees fell down, I know that'll light the pathway, but it still won't light the bridge. So I think we do need to move forward with it. And I know, we have to be sensitive to the fact that this is not, I understand that there's a budget question, and I recognize probably some of that wiring is going to be old. We know that. I get it. But I think it's just something that's been waiting for a really long time to be dealt with.
Okay, before you go, Chris, I think the deputy had something to say.
Thank you, Commissioner. My suggestion would be to amend this motion, defer this report to the next meeting, and that staff prepare a report regarding the requirements to move this project proceeding in 2025 and any budgetary impacts.
Okay. And I believe the deputy mayor had something to say.
That's all I was going to say, Cal, is that I'm not comfortable just saying go ahead and not knowing what the budget would be. I really need to understand what this cost is going to be. I mean, it's one thing if it's 60, it could be 90, it could be 120,000, but I can't make a decision without those numbers.
Okay, so we're just going to change it to come for next week then. Sorry, Chris.
Sorry, I also wanted to just identify to the commission so there's no confusion. This was only for lighting on the bridges, nothing on the walkways, nothing on the approaches. Nothing. This was only downward lighting, wildlife friendly lighting on the bridges. So if pathways are a concern, now is the time to identify this if we're going to be going forward with an ESA potential assessment of what's there as well.
Because the existing light right now shines on the pathways, doesn't it?
No, it does not.
It doesn't? It
No.
doesn't give you any light on the
It
pathway?
very well may at the very approach of the bridge, but not at the not at the
I thought
walk-ups.
on our bridge, I thought it went further, but okay.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I don't think it was, I mean, there had been some concern on the footpaths on the north, and I'm not being sarcastic, but actually the trees mostly fell down at this point. So again, I'm just going to say those trees were supposed to have been being trimmed since this conversation started a very long time ago. And whatever, the footbridges, the trees around the footpaths haven't been taken care of, but this isn't a conversation that we're going to have to continue later in this meeting, I think, because so we'll leave that. But I don't think it was a question of lighting the footpaths. There should be, this was just, and it does light when you touch the bridge, or it did. As soon as you get to step onto the bridge itself, that's when you get light. So as long as we're still going to be having that, then I think we're at the right place where we get the full price now, bring it back, and then we can try to get it done this year as soon as possible.
Okay, Chris?
Sorry, if I may. The timelines, unfortunately, that the clerk had put forward, it took me 3 weeks to get the lighting contractor here to provide us costing in the beginning. So I think it's an unrealistic expectation to have it in the May meeting, which is only 3 weeks away from this date. I think we need to not make this for the May meeting. We need to provide the information at the June meeting, unfortunately, because not only do I got to coordinate the contractor to be here, they're going to have to do a lot of research as well with ESA and stuff, if I can even get it done by June at that point. So I would like it to read at a future meeting, if possible, if at very least the June meeting and not
Okay.
the May meeting.
I think it's a good call. Instead of saying you don't have, you want to leave it to June or July? I know you're waiting for it, but we've got to make sure we do this right.
No, I was going to say at a future meeting is okay, but I guess my only comment would be if you do happen to get some information in a more timely fashion, I would try to advocate that maybe we call a quick special, even if we Zoom in, because the residents who are impacted they're feeling an emotional response at this point because they've been impacted for a very long time. So if the stars align and you have information much sooner, then I would advocate that we just call a special quick Zoom meeting, and so that we can proceed.
I will do everything in my power to have it at the June meeting. I'm being realistic. We will not have it for the May meeting. managing expectations at this point in
So
time.
it's going to be.
That's
June
not
at the
possible.
earliest, right?
It'll be June at the earliest, and I'll do everything in my power to have it at the June meeting for you.
So what we're changing it to, we'd already voted on it, so we're okay to do that. Okay, and who put that on the floor for us? Okay, are you guys okay with that? Deputy Mayor? I didn't see him. Oh, it said the mayor. Oh, the movie star? Okay, so you guys are okay with that? All in favor? That's passed. Next one is 8.10, the LCBW property cleanup recommendation. The commission received the report and the commission directs staff to coordinate the cleanup of the LCBW properties with the use of the tree service companies. Put on the floor for me, Commissioner Mason, second by the counselor or the movie star, whatever you want to call him. Going. Go ahead. You go first then.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so a couple of comments or questions. So first of all, the trees that have fallen over the footpaths would not be the responsibility of the commission. Those trees are owned by the adjacent property owners. So whatever cleanup is required, those are their trees. They should have been trimming them before now. Again, part of that whole 2021 tree conversation I brought way back when, part of that conversation had been exactly precisely about this was I had asked then for bylaw to be involved in proactive maintenance of trees. And in the end, we got to education and then that wasn't accepted either at that time. So anyway, at this point, those trees though, they're not the responsibility of Parks and Waterways. So either if we clean them up, we bill it back to those adjacent properties or those adjacent, I mean, I guess you don't want the adjacent properties working on the township property is what you're getting at. I understand that, but that would be a bill back for those pathways. And I already know that some of those residents have been out cleaning up because they know it's their responsibility. And I guess the thing I wanted to say on the footpaths as well is I noted that one fence has had damage to it. And then again, that damage would be assigned to that property owner because it's that property owner's tree that fell and damaged the fence. So I don't know. I mean, typically, I guess you, as a township, you would just bill that onto, I don't know how you do it. That's your part, I guess, from a billing perspective, but they're not our responsibility. So that's the first thing. And my second comment, we received an email indicating the terminology was, oh, well, you don't have a budget. So we don't know how the tree cleanup is going to be funded. And it was dismissive. And it sort of said, if for some reason the municipality would receive some kind of funding to help support cleanup efforts, none of it was going to get directed toward the Parks and Waterways Commission. And I have a concern with that. So I would like to know that a part of this motion that we carry will include that we would seek any relief funding that becomes available equally to any other community within the Township of Ramara for the cost of cleaning up any of the trees on those spaces. So I accept that we need to do the cleanup and I'd like to see the beaches open as soon as possible, but I think there's still discussion to be had on the financial aspect of it.
Okay, so Deputy Mayor, then the Commissioner. Deputy Mayor.
Sure. Through the chair, I couldn't agree with that point fully. I think that it's pretty harsh for us to put a blanket statement out that people failed to maintain their trees through a natural disaster ice storm. I think that's a freak of nature. I do know that the township is putting forward efforts for emergency cleanup, and I think we should request that this be included in that. And then we go from there because there is some relief, I'm sure, coming from that project from cleaning the entire township up. Lagoon City, the Parks and Waterways, that's all part of our township. I think we should push forward to have that as part of the cleanup.
Commissioner Mason.
Would it be wise to maybe send a letter to the property owners adjacent to the areas that have been damaged by their trees to suggest that they approach their insurance company for possibly some recovery of costs for the damage done by the trees?
I guess my question is, is that the law that if a tree falls on your property and goes on somebody else's property, it's your responsibility? That is the law.
Through you, Mr. Chair, certainly not going to speak from a perspective that I'm a lawyer, because I'm not. But typically in a situation like that, it becomes a sort of civil action insofar that if your tree damages your neighbor's property, then it's the two property owners that ultimately will battle it out from a court perspective, a sort of civil direction. And so in this particular case, as I'm sure everyone would agree and understand, this storm was one of the storms of the century, obviously, and has been beyond impactful for all Ramara residents. The township is going full speed ahead to hire. I think we've probably got about between 8 and 10 contractors right now working on our behalf to clean up, try to bring us to sort of pre-storm conditions. And we will be applying for funding that may be available. And I'm very careful with my wording because it is a may, and there is a risk that all of these costs will be borne by the township in terms of the municipal property. That is our focus. That is our fixation, is on the municipal property. In this particular case, to the point that the councillor and the deputy mayor have made, certainly we will section this area off, and we will certainly try to include it. I will tell you that the province has got some pretty tight criteria around their funding, so we're going to try to do our best to work through all of that. In terms of private property owners, trees that have fallen onto the Lagoon City properties, it's really tough. I would say to you that I don't believe that it would be appropriate for us to try to bill back because, again, we really, to what authority do we have and to what proof do we have? That would be a very complicated process. And so consequently, what I think Chris is recommending here, let's go in, bring our contractors in, let's do the cleanup. The commission needs to understand, however, if there's no success in getting funding from the province, then it does become a cost borne by the commission. What we indicated to our council was that we would keep council informed in terms of this overall project process by way of our CIP. We can certainly commit to doing the same for the commission. As we bring in contractors to clean up, we would be able to share with you maybe on a weekly basis. Here's where we're at. Here's where the costs are, just so you're aware. But I'll just circle back to conclude. To attempt to try to bill property owners would become very challenging. And in fact, we would need to ensure that we're on solid ground in order to do that.
Right. So you've answered my question. Thank you. We'll go with Bill Mason. Or Commissioner Mason, sorry.
I'm still suggesting that there are obviously there's some damage to a couple of spots that we know the property owner's location. Would it not be wise to maybe send a letter to them asking them to investigate the possibility of going to their insurance company? Because I'm sure insurance companies have some coverage for these kinds of things, and possibly have them be proactive and see if we can get some funding from them to do this, to do these fixes.
Commissioner or Council.
Thank you. And I guess I just want to point out, my concern is less those 2 footpaths. That's not where there's going to be a major expense. I don't think right now, as I said, most of those, at least on my part of the street, the people they knew they were their trees and they already went out and cleaned them up. So maybe they weren't supposed to be doing that on your property, but they're doing that. But the bigger concern I have right now, and we have already used the process I'm about to talk about, so it's not a process that hasn't been done before. We have numerous trees in the waterways, and those trees that are in the waterways are the very trees that were being discussed in many cases much long ago about having trees that were hanging into the waterways trimmed and that sort of thing. So now we've ended up with trees littering the waterways. I do know a couple of friends have gone and they've tried to use like 4x4s and winch them up and out to try to mitigate the cost of taking those out of the waterways. In the past, we have had trees fall in from private property, and the private property owner has been responsible for removing those trees from the lagoons. So we haven't talked about that aspect of it yet. And I don't know how many are still laying in the waterways. In certain areas, though, there are essentially a full tree. And so that's another piece of this that has to be dealt with. And I mean, I'm not mean, and I don't want one person to be held responsible for something. But at the same time, if it's your tree and it fell in the waterway, you would have had to take it out anyway at any time. That's the process that we've implemented through bylaw in the past. So I think we have to do something here, because the boats are going to start going in the water, and the waterways are full of trees. So we have to have a decision about how that's going to happen.
So let's do that later. Let's finish what we're doing right now with this, right?
That is this is cleaning up Lagoon City's
It is, but we're
properties.
talking about the entranceways. Well, let's talk about let's split it up. So the actual issues that we have right now is our bridges are blocked because we have all the thing. Our beaches are probably dropped. I haven't even gone to look up there. We need to deal with those. We haven't talked about those. So the town is now out there doing it. Why don't we have the town do it? They're going to drag it out. They're coming to pick them all up for free anyways, right? So why don't we just get that done? Whatever the costs are, we either deal with it or we deal with the homeowners or whatever way we want to do it. But we've got to move forward on that. And then let's decide on that. Then let's talk about what's in the water. Okay.
Like this is
Well, the water
encompassing
is
all
going to
the
be a whole
properties.
different thing. We're going to have to decide how are we going to go out and deal with it, or are we going to send a boat out, or what are we going to do?
So my initial intent of this report was the properties onshore.
Yeah.
Because the beaches, both beaches and the walkways are unsafe at this point in time, and residents are using them. I've been down there multiple times and people are climbing over trees to take their dog for a walk on the beaches. We have a safety concern there that needs to be rectified. I have yet to patrol the waterways to actually see the devastation that's happened within the waterways themselves. We don't have a boat in the water yet for me to do a patrol. But I know from access points that I can access, there are trees in the waterway. That was not the intent of this report at this point in time. However, there is discussion that needs to be had around that.
So I'm in agreement with you, because if you want to break it up into two parts, let's get our walkways done properly, because now's the time to do it. You guys are out there doing it. All the scrap is being pulled out. It's getting picked up. So let's move on and get them opened up.
But my question is still, for example, across from my house, the broken tree branches are still sitting up in the trees on the private property. So you can't open the footbridge. If safety is your concern, those branches are going to fall out of the tree on the private property and onto my head as I'm walking down the walkway. And I mean, my neighbors are all pretty good people. I'm sure they're going to clean up their trees. But what I'm getting at is we still need to have some communication to those property owners to say, we can't open our footpaths until you clean up your trees, right? Because they're still not going to be safe.
Right, which
So
we're
we-
agreeing with, Sharon. So
I
what
know,
we'll do
but
is
we don't
move
have
in,
anything
clean
about
up,
that
and
in
give
this
us a
report.
report
We
if
don't
we
have a
have to.
thing about that in this report. We have no discussion here yet about how that's going to be managed. So what I'm trying to find out is, if this is the direction, and it's fine, I don't want individual property owners to foot a lot of expense. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is we need to have an actual response to this. So right now, the trees across the road from me, the branches are going to fall onto the pathway. So therefore, the pathway cannot be opened until those private properties clean up their trees. So somewhere along the way, we have to have this process where bylaw is going to get involved, or somebody's going to make sure that those trees are cleaned up, or you have to keep caution tape across those walkways from now until those property owners clean up those trees. So all I'm saying is I don't know where we're going right now, because this report isn't telling me what is the township's going to do about cleaning up, or what's the communication going to be to those private property owners to make sure that we can open our footpaths, because those trees are on their property, not ours.
Right. And I think the town's got a big problem because all their roads have that same issue, right? Not just the pathways, right? You got the same issue everywhere now, right?
I know, but for us, we're
No,
just
I'm just-
talking about footbridges, right?
Like you've obviously got some sort of system that you're doing.
So within our municipal road allowances, we're responsible for cleaning that up. And that is the process that's happening now.
Yeah.
So anything that's going to overhang a roadway at this point in time is within our municipal road allowance, and we're cleaning those up.
Right. And what about the houses where they have their trees and they're hanging into your road allowance and over your road?
Yeah, I don't know that that's a discussion to have at the commission meeting, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think
Well,
if I,
that's kind of like the
yeah,
same commission
I
where-
think if I can, Mr. Chair, it is, it's an interesting issue insofar that it's not sort of cut and dry, right? So it depends on the situation and the circumstance. The overall philosophical issue, though, is the township will not be going on private property to clean up private property tree issues. If the private property issue is impacting the municipal property, then that will have to be assessed on almost a sort of individual basis to make sure that we fully understand. And it could involve a conversation, obviously, between the township and the property owner to figure out best way to deal with the situation and circumstance. In the situation of the Lagoon City properties, if there is a private property owner that has a tree issue that is directly impacting Lagoon City properties, then it's a similar kind of concept. We will have to have that conversation to determine what is the best course of action moving forward. So it's a bit ambiguous, and I apologize for that, but I think you can appreciate that each situation and circumstance may be a bit unique. It will have to be up to sort of township sort of staff and the contractors to look at the situation. If they do deem that that private property tree issue is going to potentially make the township or Lagoon City property unsafe, again, it'll have to be that sort of assessment. I don't think that there's any problem whatsoever with the Lagoon City Commission, perhaps issuing some correspondence or some communication to the membership to say, please understand that, you know, you are responsible for your property, you are responsible for your trees. Please do an assessment, see what the impacts are. That's only for their best interest to do that. Make sure that they do understand that there is that responsibility. There's a lot of really good work happening right now. Property owners are able to take debris from their properties and actually put it out on the road allowances for pickup. But again, there's criteria, and residents should be checking the county's website as well as the township's website in terms of the current direction on how to manage that. I apologize, a little bit of a long-winded way of saying it won't be sort of just cut and dry. We will have to assess each area to determine the impacts if there is an impact from private property owners.
All right. So with saying that, then really, I think what's going to happen then, Chris, when you're there, you've already looked at it. I guess you'll be going back to make those decisions on the walkways, correct?
In consultation with the contractors that will be cleaning that up, I will be very hands-on with them, and I will be taking their expert advice as to what the recommendations would be.
Exactly. And bringing it back to the CEO, because you guys will have to make that decision all over the place, not just in Lagoon City, not just in Parks and Waterways. It's going to be all across the municipality.
So Cal, what I'm saying though, is this for me right now, when I'm here, I don't care about the municipality. I'm just here as a Parks and Waterways Commissioner. And so however the municipality deals with the properties from that perspective is that problem. But this motion says the commission directs staff to coordinate the cleanup of the LCPWC properties. It actually should say LCPWC with the use of tree service companies. And so we need to amend that motion because Chris would need direction from us that he would be able to engage with the properties adjacent to the footbridges so that there can be a determination made. I'm looking at the trees.
No, he doesn't need to do that because if he looks.
That's exactly what the CAO just said, but this motion doesn't say that. These situations are going to be individual. Right now, the trees I am looking at from my window have great big branches that can fall on the pathways. So if we don't change this motion so that Chris has direction to be able to work with those adjacent properties to the footbridges can't open. So this motion just needs to include that there's however we want to word that there is going to be consideration, and education is probably part of it. I agree. But specifically, as I'm saying, I don't care about what the roads do. What we care about is, can these footpaths open, and those footpaths take you into the South Beach and then the 2 footbridges. And so if the trees on the private properties are going to prevent us from opening our pathways, then they need to be dealt with. So we can't just leave this motion without including that, however we want to word that.
But I have to, so, okay, you can answer the question.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I will say if the commission believes that there's a requirement to specify that specifically in the motion, then I would welcome you to make that amendment to do so. Under this particular report, what Chris is indicating is that he is suggesting that the commission move ahead to coordinate the cleanup. There will be all sorts of different situations and circumstances that he will be faced with as he goes through this process. Bottom line, what we're looking at is from a safety perspective, let's open up the area. And if it involves a conversation with a property owner, so be it. I don't believe it needs to be in the motion directly, Mr. Chair, but absolutely if the commission believes that that level of detail is required in the motion, then I would invite you to prepare that amendment, and the clerk would be happy to include that.
And there's no argument to do that. And I know Chris, when he would go in there, if he saw an issue, he'd close it again, just like what he did now. So I don't have an issue with that. If you would like to put that in, we'll put that in.
Just,
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
All right,
it's
and
just so
let's-
that there's
let's-
direction, right? Because
right.
Chris can't just do things unless he
Right.
has the
So I want to
direction.
get moving on because I want to get to the water part too, right? Okay, because I think it should be separate. So can we finish this motion that we get our paths clean, like,
Sure. What wording would you like added to this?
so you wanted the part added that Chris has?
It's just that Chris can assess the properties adjacent to the footbridges in conjunction with the arborist or contractor.
Just to be
Pretty
clear,
well what
though,
you've done, Chris, so far has been perfect.
just to be clear, though, Mr. Chair, that Chris would only be doing that as it will potentially impact the municipal, the Lagoon City properties, right? So
Right.
he will not be assessing private property trees only if there is a concern that it will adversely impact the Lagoon City properties.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
That's what,
Yeah.
yep, that's perfect. Took us a while to get there, but we're there now, right? Okay, poor clerk over there.
I think I will add, and that the commission requests staff to coordinate the cleanup of the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways properties and any properties affecting the footpaths with the use of tree company services.
Good. And who was my first and second on that?
Oh, that was, Commissioner Shoesmith and Mason.
You guys okay with that? All right. Okay, so that's, and I think to talk about the water, you're probably gonna have to do that new business, right? Yeah, okay. Because I do think there should be some discussion in that. So all in favor? That's passed. Where am I now? That's property.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, would you just clarify what was just passed? Oh, just that the motion that was introduced.
Yeah.
Was that
yeah,
what you're
but we're
calling?
gonna talk about the water
Waterway.
later. Like, I didn't want to put it together. I think it's another discussion. The goose management, so we're at 8.11. Goose management, recommendation that the commission receive report LC 1225 and that the commission direct staff to engage with Wildlife Management Group, Inc. for goose management in 2025. So you put on the floor for me. Deputy Mayor, second by the councillor. Discussion here. I don't know. I guess my question, you can go first and I have permission.
I guess so it says there's no financial impact to the LCPWC. So I don't know where we are with this program. So what happened was on the municipal side, the program just was dropped with no completion to it. There was no closeout. There was no opportunity for expansion to different communities. It just sort of ended. The program was nowhere near complete. The education was still in the midst of happening, and it was being updated as we learned new things about the goose behavior and other things. So now here we are, and it is not a LCPWC program. It's a program of the municipality. So I'm not 100% sure why this is on our agenda. And I'm not sure what we're referring to when we say, commission properties. And then I'm not sure why it says no financial impact. I don't know what is being charged or not being charged to Lagoon City. This is actually paid for via property tax, and it's a levy to property owners, and it doesn't touch the commission. So I just don't even understand why this is here. So I'd like to understand.
I think I got the answer too, Chris, but you can answer. I remembered it now afterwards. Okay, go ahead.
So I brought it here today because the corporation of Ramara has to sign a permit to act on properties for goose management. Some of those properties belong to the LCPWC. So it's here today requesting permission from the LCPW today to act on behalf of them for the permit application. There is no financial impact to the commission in this regard. This is just solely for the addition of those properties to the application of the permit that we need to apply for.
And I tell you, I was sort of surprised when I first read it. Then I figured out that's what you're asking because you're bringing the geese up on the takeoff area, right? That sort of idea. But yeah, it's fine. You're asking permission from the Parks and Waterways to utilize that equipment.
The LCPW properties, I want to be clear, it's not any other properties other than the township and the LCPW properties, not any other properties within Lagoon City
And
or
we'll
privately
probably
owned
assist with
properties.
as much goose as dealing with as possible.
Just one question, because
Yeah, I was going to tell you afterwards.
no, it's okay. The other question is, there was a lot of discussion at council about which properties were being charged for what, and what's being included and what's not being included. So when you say LCPWC properties, specifically which properties will benefit from this program?
So I think the entire community is going to benefit from the goose management program. The properties that potentially could be used are any LCBW properties that the goose may choose to nest upon. And we need permission to act on those properties with goose management programs. That's all this is looking for, is permission from the commission for the township to act on their behalf on the LCPW properties to apply goose management to those properties.
Right.
I understand that. And what I'm specifically trying to find out is which
Because you're
properties.
moving away
So-
from this now. You're asking what properties.
No,
we're
I'm
going
not. I'm
for.
asking specifically which Lagoon City properties. So are we going to be doing goose management on the South Beach, the North Beach, that whole private park space, the footbridges? Like I just want to make sure, because the program just disappeared. So I want to make sure that it's actually where it's being done in Lagoon City. So if you can just tell, you're just saying properties, but I don't know which properties. I don't know where it's going to be done. So I don't want to find out that somehow we didn't sign an agreement and then the beaches aren't being cared for example, because there was differing, I don't want to talk about the whys. I just want to know which properties specifically. So I'm not against us signing it, but I want to make sure that the properties that the people of Lagoon City wanted to have taken care of in the first place when this program started are still going to be taken care of. Because again, the program was ended. There was no completion to the program. There was no discussion. So right now, the people of Lagoon City don't even know that the program is going to happen this year, despite the fact that they've asked on numerous occasions. And they can't receive a response from the township or any member of council, and other than me. And so right now, they don't even know the program is coming, and they don't know where it's coming. So I would like to be able to know which properties will the goose management program be implemented on that are Parks and Waterways owned, and then I can deal with the council piece when I'm a council member.
From my understanding, it will be all of the LCPW properties that are impacted by geese. So if that includes the North and the South Beach, the property off Beaver Trail, the walkways to the footbridges, it would be all of the LCPW properties that the contractor deems is necessary for goose removal or goose management within the LCPW properties.
So maybe can I just ask that the motion be amended, that you will let us know, like, where I'm fine to go ahead and proceed with it. Obviously, this is what residents asked for. But if you can just confirm back to us at the next meeting, which properties that the goose management program will be occurring on that are within the purview of the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission, so that we have a record of the fact that it is happening and on which properties it will happen, so that residents aren't asking that question. And in fact, they will know where the program is going to occur in 25. If we can just have the list next meeting. I'm not saying I wouldn't carry this today. I just want to be able to know what properties. Not me, the people who live in Lagoon City want to know.
So I think my report next meeting is going to come back that all of the properties are being utilized for goose management. And as the geese move amongst the community, if the contractor deems it required to engage in those properties, he will engage in those properties at the time. They are constantly monitoring the goose population within Lagoon City. So it could impact any of the LCPW properties.
I know, Chris, but when you signed the permit, you had to sign it for specific properties. I was involved in the process, so I know how this works. So you have to say which properties goose management will occur on. So that means there is a list, and somebody at the township knows right now where the program is going to be implemented. So I'm asking from the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission to see a list of where within Lagoon City properties that are in our purview the program will occur. And then separately, I will ask at council, which council or which township owned properties within Lagoon City it's going to happen on. We also represent the people of the marina, and last year's program was implemented in a manner that the municipality had been given permission by the property owner that it would execute the program at the marina. So I can assure you the marina would like to know if this is going to happen on that property, and we accept the marina's levy. So therefore, it is something that the people in that community specific area are going to want to know. So I'm asking for a list of those properties at the next meeting.
Through you, Mr. Chair, in order to expedite this, if I may suggest that we'd be more than happy to provide, just by way of memo to the commission, what the permit indicates in terms of the properties that have been identified in the permit. So if that would satisfy the issue, we'd be happy to do that. And I do see that the deputy mayor has got his hand up.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I was just gonna call for a vote, actually, Cal. I think we've discussed this and had a robust conversation about it, and I'm fine with the motion as it stands. Chris has always done an outstanding job and updated us nicely, so I'm quite comfortable with the way it sits.
There was no implication that Chris doesn't do his job. In fact, I've said quite the opposite on numerous occasions. What I asked for was clarification. The CAO has provided it. So as long as the motion can be amended with the CAO's direction, then I'm quite satisfied.
yeah, just amend it with that. And okay. So I got to ask again. What's the first second? Okay, you guys are all right to have amended. All right, all in favor? That's passed. Good, unfinished or new business. Before we do that though, the closed session, clerk, are we going to go into that? Do we have
Yes, I think it warrants a discussion,
it
Commissioner.
does warrant it?
Yep.
Okay. I don't get to take a break soon then. Unfinished or new business. So I want to make this quick so we can get into the closed session. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I had some new business. I can't remember what it is. Somebody else go ahead first. Do you have any new business? No? No new business? Deputy Mayor, no new business? Sure. Or Counselor?
Thank you. I do have just it's more just questions. There had been
No.
last year low-lying pooling water on low-lying areas on North Beach, and I don't know if that ever got resolved, because I know it wasn't you. So I just know that it was near the end of the year, and I don't know if I
You
got.
know what? Maybe I should cut in here and I take a 5-minute break.
You want to? Okay.
Take a 5-minute break. I think we've been going a long time. All right. So we'll come back at what, 11:20. Okay, we're starting now. Okay, we're back. We're just starting a new business, and I believe you were speaking, Councillor Bell.
Sorry, thank you. Oh, my question had been, it was actually something Greg had brought last year. There was water pooling on the North Beach. And if we're going to do the tree planting in that, I don't know whether that did get resolved actually, and it hasn't. So I know Chris had to step out, so maybe we can just ask for a report on that at the next meeting.
Okay, yeah, next meeting will ask for that then. Make a point of that.
Is there a motion for that report?
Did you want to put a motion forward on that?
We just need an update. It was carried last year, so it would just be an update. Is that
In
what
his
you want?
monthly report? Fine.
Will Chris be coming back or? No? Okay, so we'll just ask for a report then. Okay, you want me to go then? I'll just give you a quick report about, you've asked me to source out a new lawyer. I do have the lawyer now. We have given them information. They have, the clerk has helped me, and he has looked at it. He has reached out to me, and I believe Sherry's going to have a chat with him too over a few things. And then what we're going to do is set up a time where he can come in and speak to the commission. And then everybody can ask questions. We can go over what all these issues are. So he seems like a good lawyer. He's out of Guelph. So he's from Guelph, right? Yeah, well, it's all the lawyers are spread out all over the place now, I guess, because they can do so much work at home now. Yeah. So I'll touch base with you a little more. I was actually finally speaking to him this week, and he'd read an awful lot and did a lot of research. So I'll have I might even be in touch with you before the next meeting, and depending on what we have, we might have a special meeting. We'll just wait and see. Okay, everybody heard that? Sorry.
Cal, I had a quick question. I'm not sure that I'm not sure if individual commission members are supposed to be meeting with this lawyer directly and ahead of time. I think that this is something we should be doing as a group.
She's not meeting with him. She's just giving information that I don't have that I can't send to him. That's all I'm asking for is information to be sent to him. That's all. It's a quick thing to send. I can get it from Sherry and I can forward it to him, but I'd rather do it direct. So there's
I think it should be shared amongst the entire commission, so we all know what's being shared and understand.
But I want him, when he comes here, to be prepared to have all the information. So when he sits down with us, he has it, he knows what we want, and he knows where we're going with it. And then if you have any more extra things involved in it, feel free to get involved in it.
Well, that's what I'm saying though, Cal, is that if Sherry shared what she is taking to him, then the rest of us could say, this is what I had. And this is so that we're not doubling up on stuff. I think that's the important thing is that we're all
if you'd like
conversation.
If you have something, send it to me and I'll send it to him.
Okay,
it's
but
not a problem.
Again, everything should be shared with all council.
What he's saying is he doesn't trust me.
No, I'm not saying that.
To do something untoward.
No, I just think that we should all be involved in this. We have the same conversation when we have the sit down with the lawyer. I think that's fair.
No, we're all going to be involved in it when he comes.
Cal, what I'll do is I'm not going to be sending him anything. And if he reaches out to me and he wants to ask me questions, I will answer his questions in a manner that says, I may not speak to you because I would prefer to speak to you in a setting where all members of the commission are present. The only information that I would have been sending him likely is links to information that's sitting on our website. So if for some reason he said, where do I find the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission? And I sent him the link. I will copy all commission members. But quite frankly, based on, and you and I did already talk about this as well. I don't wish to meet with the lawyer because I don't wish to have any accusations of integrity or any of that sort of thing made toward me. So I will prefer not to speak to the lawyer unless we're in a setting where all five of us are available, and including you, I guess, right? So there'll be no discussion from my perspective. I won't support any discussion unless all five commission members are present moving forward.
So the lawyer is going to be watching this meeting. So I told him to take a look and just understand what we're up against and what we're doing. So the information is noted. So if he wants to reach out to speak to you, are you all right with that, Deputy Mayor? If he has questions?
I'm not though. What I'm saying is if he's not, I don't want anybody speaking to him individually. Then I agree with Keith. There's no speaking individually. What we'll do is we'll
bring him in here cold, and most of your questions will all have to go back and be looked at and talked about. He's not going to be able to deal with a lot of the things because all we've done is sent him the information. He's read it, he's looked at it, but he's trying to find out what he's actually supposed to be doing. And that was what the next step was. But
So
okay,
that's
if
what
you
I was
want me
wondering-
to,
that's
so
what-
let me know the
but
dates.
Cal,
Let's set up a date then to meet with them. I've got no problems with it.
Either that or we have a meeting, the five of us, and we sit down and we actually chart out what it is we want to sit down and have him look into. But we should do this as a group. It's nothing about trusting somebody or not. It's so that we're all on the same page and we have all the same information, all the same questions are being asked and answered. That's all.
I agree, Deputy Mayor,
I
because that's what
like
I
the
just said.
idea,
I agree.
actually.
Yeah.
So can we, as five of us, meet with the lawyer and speak, or do we need to have a clerk with us?
Through you, Mr. Chair, you would need to have clerk's representation because it would be a quorum of the commission.
Actually, I would disagree because you don't know that we even need a clerk here ever. That's a question for the
Well,
lawyer.
Mr. Chair, I would suggest that at this point in time, we are operating as we have historically operated. And as indicated before, we all have lots of questions in terms of who's responsible for what and so on. So that's the reason for the legal work. So I would suggest to the Deputy Mayor's point, a very valid point insofar that the commission should be all on the same page in terms of what is the scope of work that you're actually asking for this lawyer to do. You should all be on the having that conversation, and that should form part of the contract that you are commissioning with this lawyer. And so it would be wise for the commission to turn your mind to what exactly the request of this lawyer is, and perhaps at your next meeting, come with a very clear understanding, which could then be created and crafted in a motion. So that is the direction from the commission. Here's the scope of work that you're asking this lawyer to do.
So if, and I'm great. Well, I don't have a problem setting it up, but could we have somebody send him like questions or different things where we, like, just so he's prepared for it? Like, I don't want to sit there with him and he not really understanding where we're going. He hasn't read it yet. It makes it very difficult, right?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I may too, please remember, and if the lawyer is watching, they're hourly. So you will want to ensure that the work that you're asking this lawyer to do is again scoped, and yet you fully understand what the contractual relationship is with this lawyer. And so if you're wanting the clerk to provide that lawyer with historic documents, private members bill, bylaws that we have, we can provide that. And that at least gives the lawyer a basis for who the commission is, at least at this stage. So we'd be happy to provide that background information, because you make a very valid point insofar that when he comes here, you want him to be at least somewhat prepared with some of the historic information. So we can do so, and I believe the clerk has already sent some information. But there should be one point of contact in terms of the back and forth, and I gather that's you, Mr. Chair, because each time any member of the commission, if that's the authorization, again, that will bring your billing up and up and up, and you'll want to make sure you manage that.
Right. So with that though, what I wouldn't mind then is if that each commissioner sent me like the questions, and I could forward that to the lawyer then if they're all the same or whatever. And as you say, one person being the point person, just so when he comes in here, he knows kind of what we're focused on and what we're after. Because he has got all the information, and the clerk did a great job sending all of that. But I think what's happened is he's been a little confused in certain areas where when I talked to him, I said, no, I don't believe that's what we want. We want this. And that's when he's come back and said, well, give me some questions, right? Like, like tell me what you're after, where you want to end up. And that's why I would sort of like the commission to be involved in it. But the more I think about it, the more why don't we just bring him in here, or not bring him, but do a Zoom with him and speak to him. And then, everybody can ask the questions.
So my concern remains that the municipality has a different approach and a different requirement than does, and I'm not being disrespectful, and I am not speaking as a council member for the Township of Ramara. I'm speaking as a commissioner whose job is to protect the investment of the people of Lagoon City. The clerk and the township and the council of the township have no business being in a meeting between the commission members and the lawyer. What the commission needs to do is protect the people of Lagoon City. What the municipality needs to do is protect the municipality. And while those things might could be the same thing. They also may not be. And we have issues to deal with that are central to protecting the investment of the people of Lagoon City. There is actually no rule that says a clerk needs to be present because we haven't established anything. There actually is no commission. We're sitting around a table acting as a commission, but we don't actually exist because we were never appointed following the 2001.50 bylaw, which said we needed to be appointed in 2 years, as did the clerk. So in fact, we don't even actually have a commission, and that's where we're sitting right now. So I do believe that we need to have a meeting with the lawyer. That meeting should be exclusive of the township. That meeting should be occurring between the 5 commission members and the lawyer, and there should not be anybody from the township present. If the commission feels that we want to have somebody there to take record of the meeting, which I don't disagree with, and I think it would be a good recommendation, I would suggest that we look for an outside source. We have folks in Lagoon City just specifically who have worked in municipal for many, many years. And there are also other clerks and retired clerks that would be available to us that we could bring in to have someone act as secretary for us as we have a meeting with the lawyer and start to break down this process. And again, it's no disrespect to the municipality, but the municipality is looking at something different. And we can just look at the example of the $144,000 that it's or 130. I'm sorry, I don't remember the number because that's a township bylaw. And now we're being potentially charged that to pay for that court case. So unfortunately, where we've reached is that ultimately we are going to end up working together, I hope harmoniously, but we're not there right now. And I'm not saying that we're not harmonious, but what I'm saying is our 2 desires are different. The municipality needs to serve itself. The Parks and Waterways Commission needs to serve the people of Lagoon City. So I believe that, yes, maybe we need to have somebody there record, but it cannot be somebody from the Township of Ramara. So we need to be looking at having a meeting between the commission members and our lawyer before we can move any further forward in this process.
Deputy Mayor.
Unfortunately, I can't attend a meeting. At this point, we've been given legal advice from our current lawyer that says that we continue business as usual until we've actually reviewed this. So we can put that at the top of the list for this first lawyer to bring to us is that we need this question answered so we can move forward. But until that time, I need to have a clerk from the township present because that's the way we've always done it. And I'm not going to go against legal advice.
He's not our lawyer, Deputy Mayor. Keep in mind, he is a lawyer for the Township of Ramara, not the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways.
That's the legal advice we have and the only advice we have. So that's what I'm going with.
No, let him speak. No, let him speak. Are you finished?
I am, Cal. I just wanted to air that. That's all.
Okay, no problem. Everybody can air it. Do you have anything you want? Yourself?
I'm inclined to support Sherry's position. I think at this point in time, we as the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission need to figure out what we are, who we are, what we do. At this point in time, I agree with Sherry. We don't need someone from council from Ramara Township.
I guess the way I look at it myself, until I get and what the deputy mayor was saying, until I get further further information, I've got to follow it because that's the way we've always done it with a clerk. But I'm just saying, when we have a clerk here, the clerk has there's whatever she's not going to go out and speak about that. They're very close that way. They're working for us as the commission. It's always been like that. And if we're told that this is not the way we do it, then we'll do it.
Cal, I'm afraid, but they're not working for us. They want to charge us, and I'm sorry, but they want to charge us $144,000 or whatever. I know I'm saying 144. No, but it's not appropriate for the township to be there, Cal. I just disagree, and so we can put a vote on the floor, and I'm saying I myself will not meet with the township as a Parks and Waterways Commissioner. We need to talk to our lawyer so that our lawyer understands the needs of the people of Lagoon City who have made a very, very substantial investment. And we've had a number of things occur, including somebody wanting to take our equipment to another part of the township. And that's an $800,000 investment. So again, the municipality has different desires than does the commission.
Let's just put on the floor. We don't need to talk about it anymore. The way I look at it is staff is directed by council and they're directed to work with us at commission and away we go. So I'm not even sure how to put this on the floor now. What am I putting on the floor? The vote to whether or not we have a meeting with the new lawyer with just the commission. Like, does that, I don't even know if I can put that, can I put that on the floor?
Through
I can put it on the
you,
floor, you're the
through
chair.
you, Mr.
No, I
Chair,
mean, I can't put-
I wouldn't advise that. I'm not sure if the commission is looking for township advice or not, but it would be my advice, if you're asking, Mr. Chair, that very clearly you are about to embark on a project that is a very important project, which is to evaluate the work that is done, the partnership, the relationship that you have with the township. You have been operating for a number of years as we are currently operating right now, which is under a procedure bylaw, which is under the private members bill, which is under all of the provisions that you currently have, which means you meet as per your procedure bylaw, which means you meet with township staff. The clerk is the representative in terms of record keeping, et cetera. That is how you have been operating. And I certainly would not be advising you to put a motion on the floor that may in fact be an inappropriate and improper motion.
The problem is we're operating inappropriately and improperly anyway, right? So
Mr. Chair,
because
you
we
do
don't
not know
exist.
that at this point in time
But we do,
because you are
because we
seeking
didn't do
legal
anything
advice.
after bylaw.
So what we're gonna do.
No, but we
is-
do, because bylaw 2001.50 said we had to appoint a clerk in 2003. We've never appointed a clerk. So the clerk actually doesn't exist right now because we've never appointed her. So I know we're operating and we're all acting as if we've done all these things and we've said we're going to continue to act, but we don't have a clerk. We don't have a commission. We don't even have a bylaw. We didn't have a shore wall bylaw. So we're in
Okay,
a
sure.
very
I'm gonna put
difficult
an end to it now,
situation.
because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk to the lawyer, the other lawyer, and I'm gonna ask him exactly what to do here and what his recommendation to do. And we'll sit and we'll have a meeting with the commission and we'll have the meeting, we'll deal with it. And he'll tell us one way or the other how we do it. And if he tells me that we have a clerk there, we will have a clerk there. If he says that, no, you don't need a clerk, then we don't need a clerk. Okay? Right? We all agreed with that? Okay, so I don't even have to put, you want me to put, you want to put a motion on the floor that you're asking me to do that, or I'm just gonna do it?
I think we should have a motion, right? Because we need to have a record for the people who have the investment into the Lagoon City Parks and Waterways Commission, our residents. They need to know that we're looking out for their best interest because that is our job. So I think the motion would be that we are requesting the chair to contact the lawyer to determine whether the commission should and can meet separate from the Township of Ramara.
And if he tells me that that it's okay to have the clerk, then I will reach out to the clerk and we'll set up a meeting. And it will be a closed session because you're meeting with the lawyer. I know that part now. And then if it isn't, then I'm not sure he'll tell me what to do. Okay? Are we all right with that?
Well, I put the motion on, so
Okay,
we
put
just,
the motion on. Okay, so the motion by Councillor Bell, second by Commissioner Mason. We've already discussed it. All in favor? That's passed. Okay. I didn't think that would go that long, actually, but okay, so I'm done. I'm ready to go into. I don't think I asked Deputy Mayor. You don't have any new, do you have new business or did I ask you that?
No, I have nothing right now. Thanks.
Okay, are you done?
I had still some unfinished business. But as I'm looking at it, I don't know whether it's worth bringing right now anyway. The only thing I do want to double check, and I know it's in these minutes, but now I can't remember. We were waiting for a report on the water movers and
Yeah, we should have brought that up before.
I know. But I think it's in our minutes from the last meeting. So if I can have 2 seconds, just scan back because we ended up adjourning the last meeting before we were finished, all of the unfinished business from 2024. And I don't know whether that made it in. So if I can have just 2 seconds. Tree planting. Right, so it didn't end up making it in as a carried motion the last time, and I know that Chris is already working on it, but I just want to make sure that for brass tacks, that we've got all the information there, that we have a motion on the floor, that we ask for an update on the water movers at the May meeting, so that the residents know where we are. There's already been questions and concerns because that was, water didn't move. Yeah. I did, yeah.
I can't hear you, Cal.
Sorry, Sherry put on, or the counselor put on the floor, say it again. Oh, you heard what she said.
Yeah, just,
And I'm looking for a seconder and you're the seconder. No? Okay, you want to, so,
This is something that Chris brings up with his regular operations update, so I think that'll be just part of his update.
we don't do the regular, we took that off. The infrastructure update's not on the agenda anymore. Now we went back to having to ask for reports for each item. So that's why I want to make sure, because I already have calls in from residents who are concerned whether they're going to be in the water this year. So I would like to know that we're going to have a report on that in May. So that's why I'm placing the motion.
so all in favor? Let's pass. Okay. Are we going to go into closed session at 11:43? So I have to put a motion forward to go into closed session.
Actually, Cal, I just have a question. We have determined that the council chambers is unsafe for closed session. Council has, and I'm not allowed to go in that room or I'll get arrested. So I don't know how we're supposed to do closed session as a commission anymore. So if the CAO can
I'm okay
advise.
doing it in here.
Well, this room's been deemed unsafe and insecure by the Township of the Council of Ramara. So therefore, I don't understand how we're supposed to. They've placed a trespass order against me. So if I go in that room, they're going to call the police. Not for any reason. There's never been any breach of the code of conduct or any behavior on my
Through you,
part that
Mr.
would
Chair, if I
indicate
may,
same.
if it is the commission's desire to hold the closed session in this particular forum, then that is the commission's decision to do so.
I guess my concern
That
is
will
if
be
it's not
included in your
secure.
motion that the closed session meeting be held in the council chamber.
So, but if it's not secure any other day, why would it be secure today? So if this is confidential information and the room's not secure, I don't want to be discussing it in this room.
Through you, Mr. Chair, from the township's perspective, we do not hold closed session for township business in the chamber, primarily if we have anybody on the screen, if we have information on the screen, and because the windows are open. So we have chosen as Township Council to hold all of our closed session in the Richard Bates Room. If it is the commission's desire to hold a closed session and you feel comfortable in this chamber, you may do so. That will be included in your motion.
Well, I'm okay having it in here.
I feel that if it's not secure for the council, it's not secure for the commission. So if you guys want to break and go into the other room, I can sit in here and hold court, but I don't want to proceed in this insecure room.
Well, right now, I'm the chair. I can say, well, we can have it here and then we'll have it in here.
So if there's any breach of what comes out of this meeting, then there can be nobody held responsible for that breach because we're holding it in an insecure
Right.
room. I just want to make that clear.
Okay.
Not that I would ever breach, I
come
never
on.
have, but I want to make it clear.
Okay. So somebody put a motion forward to go into the closed session in the chamber room. Somebody second it. Deputy Mayor, all in favor? That's passed. Let So I come out, I have to proceed as directed or something. So I put another motion on the floor. Do I put another motion on the floor when I come up?
So the motion will be that we discussed a litigation matter under section 2.
I couldn't hear you. Sorry. Okay, you can read that for me. That's okay. Get a rest for a minute. Oh, no problem. No, take your time. Stop that. I know. I wish Ashley was here. I wanted to say goodbye to her. This is her last day. Yeah. Yeah. She's working with her husband. What a great thing. Yeah. Hey, I worked with my wife. We're still together. I worked with my wife for 47 years. Being married. No, we started a company. She was the first one that she did all my books, and yeah, and we went up to about 500, and she controlled it all. It was more fun then because we scoped accounts and stuff. Yeah. You know what? My biggest challenge was coming home at night and dealing with it all the time. Okay, we have a motion to put forward. Clerk, could you read it, please?
We discussed a litigation matter under section 2391 of the municipal act and the staff proceed as directed.
So we put it on the floor. Commissioner Mason, second by the deputy mayor. All in favor? Sarah? And now we're to the adjournment. The recommendation that Lagoon City Parks and Waterways adjourned at 12:11 p.m. I guess should we put on the, well, it's all in favor, I guess you do, right? All in favor? That's passed.